Give it a few minutes so we go live on this one here, and then there we are. Coach Matty, Happy New Year.
How we doing? Happy New Year, Steve.
Thanks so much for being the pregame show with us.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Listen, I always really enjoy talking to you because I think of Record Spirit, I think of you. Talk a little bit about, your connection to school and what it means to you just to be a Record and how.
Yeah, I mean, I'm from Westport. I went to Staples, so I've been around for 25 years, going to different Staples sporting events. I've seen a lot of great players, and I've met a lot of tremendous people. To me, honestly, Record Spirit is embodied by the human beings that we have, the guys who are playing behind us, the people that you meet in the hallway. As a teacher in the school, I could tell you there are hundreds of people that don't even play a sport that honestly I feel like embody that Record Spirit that you're talking about. I just feel like Staples is such a special place with special people, special administrators, teachers, and kids who all make it mean something. And I think it's easy to kind of fall in love with this place when you're here.
I couldn't agree more because this is part of what we do here, just to really think about, do all this. And before we talk about a little bit of basketball, you and I have been in the podcast a couple of times. You were my first repeat guest. You remember that, right?
Love it.
And we talked a lot about mental health. Yeah. In the school, VJ's got a seminar coming up on the 9th, right, to just help. And I want to, give you a chance to talk a little bit about that, mental health. And what do you think let's put it in, first thing of this. What do you think is the main thing we need to work on the mental health of our athletes?
Well, I think it's first having the understanding of the importance of high school athletics in any student, any kid's lives. I feel like we can't take it for granted as coaches and for people who are involved in these kids' lives as media members, right, as fellow students, that everyone that you coach and everyone that you encounter has their own personal life with things going on. We know the correlation between exercise, being a part of a team or a unit or a tribe, and increased mental health in a positive way, but also then your interactions on a daily basis with somebody and how that either helps them or hurts them. I think about it from the standpoint of, as a coach, if you're able to clearly communicate expectations and a standard, that provides a safe space for students, because there's consistency and they know what to expect. And then you're honest with them, right? And you're their biggest cheerleader when things are going well, and you make sure to give them the praise and really the fact that you see them, right? That they're visible, that they're somebody that matters, that their hard work, their input is carrying out into something that's so special, I think is very important. And then also holding that standard as a coach or as a teammate or as a teacher, because that tells a student, that tells a kid that you believe in them, that you can do something great, that mediocrity is not really your top, right? That you can be better. And I think it's just a great two-way relationship if you're able to do both.
Yeah, and I want to say this, and I want to, again, plug this. So it's January 9th, 6 o'clock, that seminar. And there is a stigma around mental health, that if you're seeking help, especially, I don't know if just for boys and girls, I want to live that way, but it feels like kids might think, well, I don't want to get on the seminar because other people see me there. And what would you say, to someone who maybe is thinking about getting there, but is kind of hesitant about what other people are going to think of them being there?
I think the true answer is I understand why people would be a little bit hesitant to maybe step up and be what they believe is going to be the first person to show that they might be interested in getting help or seeking help or needing help. But it's a natural part of life to know that if you're really working on yourself to be the best version of yourself, then it's always going to come down to seeking that feedback and advice from other people. I think that a lot of high school students and people in our society today deal with their troubles in silence because they don't want to seem less than, or they don't want to seem like they need help. But, what makes Staples such a special place is that there's so many people who do want to help you. The fact that we have an athletic director that wants to put on an event that is designed to help elevate people and help them go through a tough time. And I could say as a coach, I've come in contact with so many of our students and so many people in general who have needed that extra support and that extra hand. And I am so glad that I was able to be there for them. And you have coaches throughout our entire school, teachers throughout our community who want to also be that for students. So if you're even remotely considering going there, or if you are looking to better yourself and become the best version of yourself, I would highly recommend attending that seminar.
Yeah, I love when you say the best version of yourself, right? Because I always think that our competition is our own self, right? It's like you always want to get better as you go, and I think that's a big part of it. So I'm looking forward to it. If you're out there watching, make sure you attend. I think it's going to be great. Coach, let's talk a little bit about, and I know we're throwing basketball, but we had an excellent football season, and obviously didn't the way you wanted. But let me ask you this: what was the biggest takeaway from you from this season?
The biggest takeaway for this season, for me, kind of was the pride in watching a group, a unit, who really continue to come together and become more and more cohesive as the season came along. I think it's obviously a great problem to have, but it's really difficult to follow up a state championship season. And you have all these guys who, rightfully so, got so much praise from the media, and then on the other side of that is you get the articles previewing your senior season or your junior season saying, well, they're not going to win because they have to replace this guy and they got to replace this guy and that guy. And it's kind of like, hold on, wait a second. Like, I've worked my tail off if I'm Shane Sandro. I've worked my tail off if I'm Nick Weil or if I'm Davis Crandall, so that I would be able to step up when my number was called. And knowing that in the kids and knowing how hard they worked and how much it meant to them, to watch them get that much better week in, week out, and play with such tremendous pride. And you talked about the record pride, right? To embody that on a daily basis, that's my biggest takeaway. Forget the wins and the losses, because you win 10 games, but you lose the last one, and some people say it's a failure. But there's so many great successes, and there's so many men in the arena who really put themselves out there during that season.
I couldn't agree more, because you can't, I always feel like sometimes if you only focus on winning and losses, they are short-term gains. When you look on the process of the system, you're talking about long-term gains. And you guys have been able to do that. So very proud of that. And now to basketball. You and I are here a lot to watch a lot of these games. What's the thing that really drives you to these guys that have played so well the basketball? What's your biggest thing for this team?
We talk a lot about it, and I know we've talked about it, but when I watch our basketball team play and I watch Coach Goldshort coach, I think about fire and passion, and the passion that these kids play with, just what they're willing to do. I actually just got goosebumps. What they're willing to do together. That's how you know I love it. Yeah. Right? I think about a kid like Matty Corrigan, who comes over here from Fairfield Ward, and he gets it. He understands the culture. He understands expectation. He understands what it means to wear staples across your chest. And you'll watch. He's a kid who, I asked him today in the hallway if he was going to, play lockdown defense. He's like, if it's what the team needs. Right? His first response, if it's what the team needs, right, I'm going to do it if the team needs it. Yeah. You see Adam Udell and just the defense and the intensity that he plays with on a second-to-second basis. Flacco with the talent that he has, but how unselfish he really is. And just down the line with all the players that are able to come in and really help contribute to such a successful team. And then the coaching. Yeah. Coach Goldshore, right? You can't ever accuse him of not being passionate, right? He's sweating as much as the players out there. You see Coach Pickens and just how intellectual he is in terms of basketball and what he is for the kids. And then for me, honestly, even watching JV games, you see Coach Sully, and I'm so blown away by his coaching style and how calm he is. And is able to deliver clear communication and instruction and true coaching. I really am blown away by the whole staff.
Yeah, I think to me it's like the key is the program, right? I mean, you guys are running a football program where you incorporate the town into the football, like the PAL is part of everything. And they're doing the same thing with basketball. And that just talks about how we as a community and as a school are growing.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's always been like that. I think we're stepping to a new era. It's actually the right thing out.
I completely agree. I mean, again, I mentioned I was a student here. It wasn't always like this. It definitely wasn't always like this. And I think it's a huge testament to the human beings that we have walking through our hallways. I really do think that they root for each other, that they care about each other, they care about their teams that they're not even on. I feel like within the programs, what has happened is there's a real true sense of competition, and that's across Staples and in Westport. Obviously, it's a very successful town, but it's not unhealthy competition.
I agree,
right?
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of the pressure has been put in the process and the input in terms of what it takes to be successful. So instead of our players rooting against somebody else because, well, if you do better, then it means that I'm going to look worse, I really do think that they root for each other because they know that that competition helps rise each other and make them better. And that is why when we compete, when a Staples team competes against a team wearing a different color jersey, it's usually Staples who comes out on top, right? Because those kids are competing with the best team that they face daily on a consistent basis, and you see the results on the court, on the field, on the pitch, whatever it may be.
Yeah, I hear it's like, I the other day I was watching a documentary on soccer. They're saying that usually the teams that win World Cups, their most difficult games are the ones against the backups, right? Yeah. So before we go, prediction for tonight's game.
Oh, I got Rutgers by a million. Now let me say, I think great defense. Listen, New Canaan is a great program, great team. They have a lot of football players, very tough kids, winners, state champions. I got this as a 56-51 battle. But before I go, I do want to say one thing. One, I think a lot of Rutgers pride has been elevated by this guy right here and all the work that he's done to help expose our athletes and our coaches. And then someone else I want to mention, Marcia, who's one of our custodians, is the backbone of our high school, and the joy that she brings every single day. No joke, the pride that she takes in doing her job and what she spreads and her smiles and how energetic she is and how she cares about the teams. After our state championship last year, I got to my phone and I had texts from, let's say, 200 people congratulating us on winning. But I had 9 missed calls from her during the game. She wanted to make sure the Rutgers won. So it really is people like Marcia, people like you, and the kids who are on the court and in our school who make it such a special place.
Coach, I can't thank you enough for being on. We appreciate you so much, and we'll see you very soon.
Appreciate having me.
All right. Thanks,
Go
guys.
Rutgers.
Go Rutgers.